All right, come on, settle in. Don't expect any flowery prose or sentimental drivel. You asked for it, you got it. This one still leaves a bad taste in my mouth. The wolf deer of Calumet, Minnesota. Itasca County, specifically. Remote as hell, plenty of thick woods, swamps that'll swallow you whole if you look at 'em sideways. Perfect breeding ground for the absurd and the terrifying. It was back in 1998. I'd been sniffing around northern Minnesota for a few months, following up on some Native American lore. Stories of a creature they called Misqua Manito, dark spirit. Sounded like your standard antlered demon to me at first blush. But the details were unsettling. The locals claimed it wasn't just an animal. It was changed, twisted by something ancient in those woods. The county sheriff, a fella named Peterson, skeptical as they come naturally, had been getting reports. Livestock disappearing, strange tracks in the snow too large to be deer, but with a distinctly canine gait. He figured it was just wolves, bigger than usual. He wasn't wrong about the wolves. There's always wolves up there. But these were something else entirely. I started my own investigation near Calumet, setting up a base camp in an abandoned logging cabin. Damp, smelled like mildew and regret, but it served its purpose. Spent days tracking. Found scat unlike anything I'd ever seen. Partially digested deer bones, yes, but also fur. Wolf fur, but coarser, longer. And the smell, God, that smell. Musky, rank, overlaid with a sharp bite of the earth surrounding Itasca County. The first few days were purely reconnaissance. Established my base camp, ran grid searches, filtered some water from the nearby creek. Then the tracks started appearing closer to my camp. Initially, I was just marking them, cataloging their progression. They weren't consistent, mind you. Some days they'd be more deer-like, others almost entirely canine. One morning I found a single print, massive, easily 15 inches long and 8 across, pressed deep into the mud near the lake. The claw marks were disturbing. Not like any predator I knew. They looked deliberately placed, intentional. The nights were the worst. Calumet gets dark, really dark. No light pollution out there. Just the rustling of leaves and the incessant buzzing of insects, amplified by the silence. I'd set up motion-activated cameras around the perimeter of my camp, hoping to catch something. Most nights, it was just squirrels or raccoons. But a couple of times, one night about 5 days in, I woke up to an unsettling feeling. That prickle on your skin when you know something is watching you. Sat bolt upright in my sleeping bag, heart hammering against my ribs. The air smelled thick, heavy with that musky odor I'd been picking up earlier. I grabbed my night vision goggles, cheap piece of equipment but better than nothing, and scanned the tree line. Couldn't see anything directly, but there was a sound, not a rustle or a snap of branches. It was heavy breathing, low, guttural, like something massive was standing just beyond the edge of my sight, as if the largest deer on the earth had just stopped running after 10 miles. I kept on it for close to an hour, rotating slowly, listening. Nothing more than that oppressive silence of the woods and the feeling of being scrutinized. Morning came, and when I surveyed around the camp, my heart skipped a beat. I found tracks circling the cabin, about a 35-foot radius directly from my sack of a pillow. The tracks themselves were the real kicker. They started as normal deer prints, then gradually warped. The hooves elongated, broadened, starting to resemble paws. Then, the gait. It was a lope, not a bound. A predator's stride. They led directly into the woods. It felt deliberate, like it was taunting me. After that, I started taking precautions. Reinforced the cabin, set up trip wires with tin cans, primitive, but they'd alert me to anything approaching. Started sleeping in shifts, alternating between watch and trying to get some rest. Sleep didn't come easy. The woods had a way of getting into your head, whispering doubts and anxieties. Took me almost 2 weeks of patient observation before I even caught a glimpse. It happened just after dusk. I was tracking what I thought were fresh prints along a creek bed when I heard it again. That unholy mix of snort and growl. I froze, pressed myself against the trunk of a massive pine tree, trying to become invisible. I slowly, painstakingly retrieved my thermal scope. You gotta play dirty sometimes, and honed in on some movement in the tree line. At first, I thought it was just a deer browsing on some late-season foliage. Then it stepped into a patch of moonlight. It was incorrect, unsettlingly imperfect. It felt like looking at a reflection in a shattered mirror, familiar but twisted and grotesque. The basic form was there, the suggestion of a deer, broad shoulders, heavy chest, but it was overlaid with something utterly alien. Picture this, the body of a massive buck, easily weighing close to 700 pounds, but its legs, they were too long, too thick, ending in paws with wickedly sharp claws that scraped against the forest floor. Think of a wolf, yes, but one that's been stretched and elongated by time and something else entirely. Its spine seemed to curve backward slightly, creating an unnatural arch in its back. The fur, not the dense protective pelt of a wild deer, but coarse, almost bristly, with patches that appeared stained a dull, bruised purple, like it had absorbed the color of decay. And then there was the head. The deer skull had been amplified. It wasn't just larger, it was distorted, elongated, almost wolf-like, too wide for its shoulders, giving it a perpetually surprised expression, like it was constantly trying to process something beyond human comprehension. Its eyes, they weren't amber or brown. They burned red like embers in the dim light. The antlers, colossal, a tangled mess of bone and velvet, tipped with what looked like blackened spikes. It stood there for maybe 10 seconds, an eternity. I froze, not daring to breathe, just staring through my lens. Its head swiveled, those eyes locked onto my position. There was a knowing in them that sent a chill crawling up my spine. It wasn't the fear of being preyed upon. It was something more ancient, more unsettling than that. That's when I realized this wasn't about a hunt. It was a game. And it was playing me. It knew I was there. It was letting me see glimpses, testing me. It wasn't scared of me, it was amused. Then with an unnatural grace for such a massive creature, it bolted. A blur of muscle and shadow disappearing into the undergrowth. The sound, God, the sound. A mix between a deer's panicked snort and a wolf's guttural growl. It was enough to make your teeth rattle in your skull. I spent a week longer in Calumet trying to get another sighting. Nothing. Just the lingering smell and the echo of that unholy sound. The Native American elders told me Misqua Manito only reveals itself when the land is out of balance, when something old awakens. They said it was a guardian, but also a harbinger. I left Calumet feeling uneasy. The wolf deer wasn't just an anomaly, it felt like a symptom. A sign that something deeper, something darker, was stirring beneath those ancient pines and murky waters. And the forests of Calumet, they guard their secrets fiercely. You ain't ready to face what they hold.